we thought we would do is have a panel discussion to talk about donor engagement and involvement, and some ideas, and then be able to share with each other what you guys are doing as well, and some good ideas. So let's start out with Suzanne, who is our social media specialist.
Hi.
And let's hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little background. My name is Suzanne. I've been here with iRapture for a little while now. I do the social media, I do video editing, some design and content work. And if you guys have a social media plan with us, I'm the face behind the scenes with those. And so my little segment here is just going to be going over some ways to be creative with hosting creative fundraising through your social media accounts. First and foremost, the best platform to do a fundraiser with your social media is through Facebook. That is going to be the #1 platform, and then followed by Instagram. Of course, there are others too, but you do want to focus on Facebook because it has a lot of features and some really cool tools that can help you raise money. And it really makes it easier for your donors to donate. So I wrote down a couple fun ideas that you can do through social media. You can host a virtual bake-off through your social media. It's super simple. You can have donors, enter the bake-off, by donating a certain fee. So maybe $10, $20 to join the bake-off. And then you can share the recipes and have your followers vote. And, if you get 10 followers or 10 participants donating $20, that's an easy way to make some extra money for some equipment you might need for your center, whether you need a refrigerator, a fetal monitor, a washing machine, anything above and beyond. Another fun way is you could do like a pet photo contest. It's the same concept, but you would just, have people love sharing their photos of their pets. So you can just have them join by, entering a small fee, and have your followers vote for the funniest pet or the cutest pet. And that's just a couple fun ways to have your donors donate to your center that are creative. And then, of course, you can do a couple more serious ways. You can share impact stories. You can share testimonies, client testimonials. Donors love to see where their money is going. And if you can share a personable story, people really love that. Another way that you can help is by doing like a monthly giving program. So you can send out a post on Facebook that says, become a monthly donor. This is where your money is going to go to. And of course, there's always like ways to promote urgent needs. So like I mentioned earlier, with a fun, creative way to raise money, you can also just post a picture of your center and say, hey guys, we need a couple strollers. We need a washing machine to wash our bedding. And it's just that raw interaction that really captures your donors' attention. And so those are just a few ways that you can use social media to implement creative fundraising for your center. There are a lot more details that we can go into later, and I'm happy to answer any questions. But I just wanted to give you guys a few ideas right off the bat.
Cool. Any questions, Ariana or Stacy? All right.
I think one of the good things with Suzanne that she talked about, which just like kind of sparked a thought in my head, is like if you have a specific need for something, like you said, like a wash machine or something, you could do a little video saying, hey, our center right now is in the need for this, and you could show them like your old one or something, and say, hey, this is what we're working with right now. we really need a new one. Does anybody have a used one that we could do? Something like that, where you bring, when she talked about that raw footage, that's what people want to see, and the open honesty and so forth. So if you're in need of something, show them what you're in need of and why you're in need of it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and the rawness is what is really going to attract someone to give you their money. It's like, I have 2 strollers sitting in my garage right now that I don't know what I'm going to do with them. But if I were to scroll on Facebook and see a post that said, I need a stroller right now, can someone please help me? Of course, it's gonna prompt that, in my head, and I can give to a good cause. And the post on social media for your fundraising don't need to be polished. I think the more real, the better. But if you do want to create a quick flyer on Canva, you are more than welcome to. There's resources out there to make your content more polished, but it really doesn't, and that's the thing, it really doesn't take a lot of effort to get your followers or your donor base engaged. Just be you and ask for what you need. Otherwise, they don't know, so.
That's good.
Jacob, you want to go next?
Sure. So I was going to share a little bit about the history of donation buttons on websites. So 10 plus years ago, it was PayPal. That was the most common donation button. But one of the downsides of someone using PayPal is, 2 downsides. One is 1/3 of people that use PayPal have had a poor experience, and 1/3 have had a great, and 1/3 don't really care. But there definitely are some people who have had a poor experience with PayPal. And then also PayPal, just like Bank of America or eBay, has donated to Planned Parenthood, and so it's not a pro-life vendor. And then about 8 years ago or 9, there used to be a group called eGiving with George Oosterman, and it was really popular. I would say about 70% of pregnancy clinics ended up joining eGiving, and then eGiving sold several years ago to a group called Ministry Brands, and it fell apart. So there's a few pregnancy centers that are still using the eGiving platform, and they're unhappy with their experience. Like, it's been poor, to say the least. And then there was 2 other companies. One was Stewardship, and the other one was Cornerstone Payment Systems. Stewardship, for a while, I would say, had better customer service, and Cornerstone was cheaper. And so if you wanted that higher level of customer service, Stewardship was the better pick. But then they also had an ownership or transition stage, and they no longer have that great customer service like they used to. And so now I really just recommend Cornerstone Payment Systems because they're pro-life. They work with WooCommerce. We can use them with an online auction. They work with a variety of tools. Anywhere that you see authorized.net, we can also use Cornerstone. And they're not the most versatile. Stripe has a few versatile features that Cornerstone doesn't, but I would say they're almost the most versatile. They're also very competitive on price, and their features are more than adequate for a pregnancy center, and they also have a donation button as like part of their base set of features. And I keep a really close ear on complaints, and the only complaint I think I've ever had about Cornerstone from a client has been it took 2 days to respond, or maybe 3 days, which I completely, I would mark as acceptable. So usually they're same day, but like a lot of us, we're not all same day. And I would say they've been great. I would give them like an A, maybe not A+, but I would give them a solid A. And meanwhile, there's still people using PayPal, which, and to be fair, Heartbeat International, I just signed up for their conference, and they're still using PayPal. And every time I see it, I email them saying there's Cornerstone. And so, and I hope someday they switch because they're still on PayPal. Anyways, all that to say is I would say, so Cornerstone is competitive. They're easy to use. They have an online interface. They integrate with a variety of websites. And really, what most pregnancy centers at least use is a donation button that can also include designations. Like the designation could be for the capital campaign. It could be for a certain ministry within the ministry, or it could be the general fund. And those are also available. And there's no price tag per month. And so they're competitive. Yeah, that's sort of my feel about donation buttons is really, I've only got one recommendation. I used to recommend Stewardship and Cornerstone and explain the differences, but now I just recommend Cornerstone. Any questions? Or Stacy or Ariana, you're our very close audience here, small audience. Any questions or thoughts?
I use it's something called Payment Hub, but the reason I use it is because they have an app, and I use it to have a client-centered app for Center of Hope, and so their payment processing comes with that app.
Okay.
But it doesn't connect to like eKairos or anything. So that's the downside of it. I have to manually put in donations. It doesn't connect like e-giving or something like that used to.
Yeah.
Now, are they pro-life? I have no idea, but that's who I found that could do an app for us and help us set up an app. And now we just keep it designed and stuff.
Who manages your app? Is that something that you guys do on your side?
We do it in-house.
When it comes to building apps, there are programs that will effectively turn a website into an app. And they do include some customization options and things like that. And then there's some of them that will have like a lifetime license that will then support running an app. But what I've learned from apps is that they're pretty tedious when it comes to trying to get them to work right. Like it's not I haven't found one that's out of the box and really, really easy to use. I usually find that they require some time and effort, especially if you want them to be on the App Store for Google and Apple. They require some effort and work there.
Ours is on Apple or in Google Play. You can load it both places.
And that donation place takes care of it being on those platforms, or did you guys have to take care of that step?
We had to get it. They helped us get it approved.
Nice. That's a good service because that's not an easy thing. That can take some time to get pushed through. That's really cool. How about you, Ariana?
I just updated it and it says that it's not available in the App Store. I got to figure that out because I just got the new update, a new phone. Got to check on that. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. I find that getting on the Google Play Store is easier than the Apple Store. But yeah. How about you, Ariana? What's been your experience with donation tools and things like that?
It's been a struggle because Heartbeat of Miami has existed since 2007, so we used I think almost all the ones you mentioned, and we're still right now we're on 3 platforms because we're trying to transfer donors over, but some donors, like for example, we started with e-giving, which is now Ministry Brands, which is now called Amplify.
Wait. What's the newest name? I haven't heard that one.
It's called like Ministry Brands Amplify. So
Amplified. I haven't heard that part. Okay, that's new to me.
Yes. So we had started with that one, and then we went to like a more local one that's called they were called Purpose Giving. And then that's when we switched, I believe. Martha knows better because I wasn't here, but then we switched to Stewardship, which maybe you recommended, and now they're CDM Plus.
Yeah,
well, they kind of like gave it over, right? So
yeah, and it wasn't a happy transition, and then now they charge 25 or 35 a month or something, and the service levels, like, it feels backwards on services. Like, it isn't. It's a weird platform. It's a weird one.
Yeah, it's not user friendly. I think.
I agree.
So right, and so yeah, I mean, we've been since I've been here, like for the past 4 years, trying to transfer obviously the donors from the old platforms to the newest one, but it's been a process because we don't even have emails for some of them, or phone numbers, or the phone numbers are not in service anymore because it's been such a long time. So that's our struggle.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you an email with Tony's contact info at Cornerstone, and I would say trying to make a plan to move from all 3 platforms to Cornerstone would be worth pursuing.
I know we also, since we have like Way Cool, I know they're also doing their own thing. I think called
I haven't. I heard about that, but I haven't seen someone use it quite yet. But I think it's new.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, my center switched. We had CDM Plus. We went from stewardship to CDM Plus, and that was a total nightmare. And we were small. We were brand new. So I can only imagine if we would have had a lot of donor records, how much of a headache it would have been. And then it came tax season in the middle of the migration, and it was just like, it was terrible. So we bit the bullet, and we went with Bloomerang, and it has been amazing.
Totally.
Yes. And they do their payment processing through Stripe. It's all integrated together. They integrate with MailChimp. Stripe does the payment processing, and they're integrated with Kindful, but they're actually offering another event management software that we're going to look into that's a little bit better than Kindful. So I don't know much about that yet, but I love that it's kind of all in one, and it's just super easy to manage and use and give us reports and data, and it's really been helpful.
Casey, did you say why you wanted an app versus just kind of an online type? Was there a reason for the app?
Me?
Yeah.
Because, well, it's something I learned about at a conference a couple of years ago, but we load our brochures, and now that Focus on the Family just has the thing, we load their brochures. We have a pregnancy calculator on there. We have the Before You Decide brochure on there, a Contact Us.
That's really cool.
It's just pretty basic, but it's a way to get our brochures electronically into the hands of our clients. Okay. It's not donor focused. That was just the benefit of it coming. It all came together.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Ariana, I know that sometimes with Cornerstone, we're able to try and ask for a certain type of file that represents the automatic gifts. And sometimes there's a way to migrate that from one vendor to like a new credit card processing group. And so I'm going to email Tony and just ask him if there's a way to help connect with your 3 different old platforms with old reoccurring gifts and explore a way to migrate those to a single platform. And if there's anything that we could do to help, I'd love to, but I think that's outside of my wheelhouse. I think it's mostly, but Tony at Cornerstone can probably try and help there. So
thank you. Yeah, I had spoken, last year at the Heartbeat International Conference, I spoke with from Way Cool with Mary Ellen, and I think it has to do something with like purchasing like the tokens of one donor platform to then the other, something about tokens.
Yeah, I think tokens, that refers to like the keys or certain kind of like numbers that go with each transaction, getting like a list of all the essentially the details of the reoccurring gifts. And I'm not familiar with all the platforms well enough to know which ones can go to which ones, but Tony could probably help there.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's really appreciated. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Kelly, you want to share?
Sure. Okay, so I will try to share here. Okay, y'all should see my blue screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Marketing campaigns. So I'm kind of in the middle of doing a lot of research myself and trying to figure out the best ways, what to focus and target our attention to. So I just kind of did a comparison. Really, I mean, ideally, if you have the time and the resources to kind of tap into all the places that you can, that's great. But just kind of comparing what is working today with donors and what others have tried and what's been the most successful. This is kind of what I found. I'm still kind of exploring SLMS right now. And I think the key there is, collecting good data on your donors, which is where the pregnancy center that I started, that's what we didn't focus on. We had a politician say, at every event, I want you collecting, he was on our board, he's like collecting names and collecting emails. So we focused on that, and we had a great start with a collection of emails. And now we're like trying to get addresses and phone numbers, because we're realizing not everybody checks their email. And especially if they're not in everyday business and they don't have, a reason to have to look at business emails, they're not really checking the emails. So we're missing out on some opportunities there. But email obviously gives us gives us more options with detailed content. There's a lot more that you can put into an email, images, links, your branding. So those are all good things that, make email a wonderful source to use. Obviously, it's probably the most cost effective, because you are able to reach a lot of people. And then the measurable analytics. So obviously we are able to kind of see who's opening those emails. If you have a good software that you're using, you can, really run good reports and kind of see what's working, and then kind of strategize of what are people, what are those keywords that we're using, and are they more interested in client stories? Are they more interested in statistics? Like, what is drawing their attention to get them to open that email? And then call to action flexibility. So obviously, when you open an email, you have lots of buttons and ways that you can get them to that donate button, or to get involved and to get to your website, to redirect them to learn more about your ministry. And then what I love about email is that integration with other programs or channels. Like I was mentioning, we use Bloomerang, and I can go into a donor record and Bloomerang, and it will show me every bit of contact we've had with that donor. So it will say on such and such date, they opened your email campaign, on such and such date, your yearly report, their tax receipt was mailed to them. So everything goes right into there. And I like that. That's really helpful to me, because it keeps us organized, especially if you're shorthanded, which no pregnancy centers are ever shorthanded, right? So, and then the visual appeal with email, I think, is a plus. You can, make it look really nice and just be eye-catching. So, and then SLMS. So like I mentioned, we've been kind of exploring this option more. We actually have a banquet coming up Friday. So yeah, we're hoping to gather a lot more phone numbers to go with our emails. So I get all these annoying text messages on my phone from everywhere you go now. It seems like everyone wants you to sign up for texting. And I do it because they have a coupon or whatever that I want at that moment. But if they're doing that on a retail side, I think it's a wonderful thing that we can tap into as pregnancy centers, because that's powerful. If we can send a text and somehow they can open it and see a client story that we had for the week. Let's say you had a wonderful story of a baby that was saved, share that with your donors. And it's just a quick, easy way that you can get that right into their hands. The open rate is 98% on a SLMS. So that's higher than anything else I saw. It's very intimate as well. I know, like this week, I've been going through texting donors just from my personal phone. I'm not involved hands-on locally anymore, mostly just on a board level, but I find that I get a lot greater response when I send them a message and say, hey, been thinking about you guys, going to see y'all Friday at the banquet. I think that it goes right to their phone, it's in their hand, and they appreciate that, and they feel like that they're important. This one, rapid mobilization, send urgent messages for a faster response. We just had to reschedule our banquet because of bad weather. So it would have been nice to have had, because we found out that not everyone opened our emails when we were trying to notify them of the date change. So you can send a very quick message on the SMS platforms, or what I also discovered was, you can even send a recorded message to these phone numbers that you have. So in addition to an SMS, you can actually have it call, and it'll have a recording saying, this is Shreveport Pregnancy Center. We just wanted to let you know that due to inclement weather, we are rescheduling the banquet for such and such date. So that's kind of helpful. Which you could even tap into ideas that go further into prayer requests, getting a prayer group together that you have. So when you have an abortion-minded woman that's there, you can send out a text, say, hey, I have a client here, please pray now. Those are also good ideas. Wide demographics, you can reach a lot of people with SMS, obviously kind of the same with email. Direct mail, I think, is probably the most expensive, but it is also still very effective. I know through a NIFLA training that I did a couple years ago, they were saying most of our donors are going to be older people, and they still appreciate mail that comes to them, that they feel like it's valuable, and that has a greater message capacity. It's something they can put in their hand. So especially with older people, like there's a lot of older people that aren't going to do email, and they do not want you sending them a message if they even do a lot of texting. So, but creative flexibility, higher perceived value, and brand building potential, of course, is going to be higher with direct mail. And you can kind of get creative with what you send, even if I know I got an invite to a pregnancy center banquet, and there was a different feel to actually having that postcard in my hand on that nice shiny paper and just being able to look at it. I mean, I'm not that old, but I still appreciated the direct mail. So yeah, I just was kind of curious, like what platforms y'all may use. I'm always looking for ideas myself, but I know MailChimp is who we've used because that's just who someone told us to start with. And at the time it was free when we first started, until we got so many contacts, and then it went up. And then I know iRapture uses Constant Contact, which I've actually just had conversations with our director about switching to Constant Contact, because I think it's a much better platform with more resources. So do y'all have any other ideas or anything that has worked for you?
Yeah, so Constant Contact's been around for a long time, along with, and the MailChimp's been around for a long time. And then Constant Contact recently added the SMS option, which Suzanne actually, we just recently used it for the first time not too long ago for a client.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had a great turnout too. It was very last minute, and they raised extra $400 by sending out an SMS text. So it was really successful.
That's right. Was that like the text to give?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it was for Giving Tuesday. It was just a last minute text message.
Yeah, we use Constant Contact for a while now for emails, and then we recently updated to the SMS, but we're still looking into it on how to best use it and when to best use it. So we don't really have anything on results or it's in the works.
Yeah.
That's great.
And starting to collect cell phone numbers would be key to build up the ability to use that SMS option.
Mm-hmm. I like that you can have have it all in one too. Again, going back to simplifying your life in a pregnancy center, that's important. So having, I think, one that can do email and SMS is really nice.
And I was talking to Suzanne about this when she was first started working on the SMS. And I just said, like, I'm one of those people who don't, like, I deal with emails at work. I don't deal with them at home. So I check my emails very infrequently and probably way too infrequently. But SMS messages are easy because they pop up on my phone and I'm going to open them up to delete them if nothing else. I mean, like, so they don't show up as an unopened text message, and I'll glance at them. And then if I don't want to hear from those, whoever it is I signed up for, I just hit the stop and it doesn't send them anymore. But for me, it's easy because I could glance at them and then move on, do whatever I'm going to do with them and move on. It doesn't like fill up my email box and so forth. So even though I'm like in that older bracket, I still like the SMS far better than the emails. And so I'm wondering, if in the future that's going to be more and more prevalent as we, the younger gets more, the techie, gets more involved in that, if that's going to be a great way. So having a constant contact where you can use both is, I think, pretty valuable.
Yeah, I like that. And I will say too, I work with several other pregnancy centers in my local area since I've moved. And so I'm on a lot of their email lists and mailing lists and stuff. And what always gets my attention, because I get so much email, I do not open everything, but what gets my attention is client stories. And like something catchy on there. And then I just want to hear what's happened, like what kind of miracles are going on. And I think women respond to that. And then men seem to respond a lot to statistics and numbers. And so I'm trying right now, actually, working on a couple campaigns. I want to see how they do. Like we're doing a client story campaign, and then we're doing one that's more focused on statistics and how much money the pro-choice groups have raised, how can we do better as pro-lifers and come together and raise more money to fight for the cause that we believe in. With the Lord on our side, surely we can do better, So just to see what approaches work best. So,
and I just want to say, I sent that email going back a little bit here of a tangent. So Ariana, I sent that email to you and Tony, and he replied back in 4 minutes. And so I just sent a second email. So anyways, he said you can bring all three platforms to the one, and he wants to get more details on your platforms. But yeah, it sounds like it sounds very promising, and I need to probably upgrade him from an A to an A+, because that was a very, very quick response when I needed one.
Always responds super quickly. I've noticed, like, almost any time I've emailed him, even like odd hours, he'll respond almost right away. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It's really good about that. Yeah, they are really super helpful.
Yeah.
Anything more on that, Kelly?
That's all I got.
Okay, I will share my screen then, I think. Is it sharing? Where's his introduction? Yeah, okay. Great. So I want to talk a little bit about websites and how to get more engagement from those. And a lot of people working with the centers and so forth, they always ask me a couple things. One is, how do we bring in more abortion-minded women to the donor side, to the client side, and then how to get donors to interact with our website more, and on the donor side. And so one of the things that I really think strongly about is, like, how do we bring them constantly back to look at the website? We want them engaged in it, not just going there for one thing, something is coming up or whatever, but to be engaged where they want to go back and check out your website. So how can you transform the way donors and volunteers interact with your pregnancy's website? People don't go there don't just give because there's a donate button. They give because they feel connected. And that's what we want to do on those websites, is make them feel connected with your center. They give when they see impact, and they give when they feel like they're part of something bigger. So just challenging beyond the traditional thinking of, okay, everybody does their galas or their big center events, which is important. I'm not saying don't do those. I think those are super important. But in between time, say that you need that new air conditioning unit or, whatever it is that you might need. Rather than thinking, how am I going to fit this into my budget? I think, how are we going to get donors to donate so that we can get these things that we need that are above and beyond our normal budget? And then you don't have to cut into your regular budget. So just thinking out of the box. So show, don't just tell, make impact tangible. So donors don't just want to read about it. That's great. But obviously we are in a very technical world. We want to see things. We want to interact with things. We want to know what's going on firsthand. And that goes back to what Suzanne was talking about with the organic, is that they no longer do we want just facts. We want to see and feel and touch and experience. And so one of the things that was an idea was instead of a standard just give page, try giving impact calculator. So this idea would be to say $50 provides an ultrasound for one mother considering an abortion. So you give this amount and this is what it's going to give. So they can see, if I'm giving to you, what are you going to receive from that? And I think that's super important, that they have that reality of how it affects the centers. And then another idea was a live donation thermometer. I really like this one. Show the progress toward a goal. Let's say that you do need an air conditioning unit. And then as people give, you see that thermometer going up until they get to that point. So again, it's that interactive thing, and you can bring social media into it. You can bring your emails into that as well, and then send them to the page and show what's going on. And then testimonial videos. Quick, powerful 30-second clips from real women who have been helped by your center. Some of your women aren't going to want to be on video, right? But there's a lot of them that do. They want to tell their story. They're excited. If they've been touched by something, they're not going to want to sit back. They're wanting to say, hey, this is what happened to me, and I'm excited about it. And so many, I think if we're in that older generation, sometimes we think, oh, nobody's going to want to be on video. But think about it. These kids are on video all the time. These young people, that's what they do. They get in front of the video. So ask. And sometimes it's just because we don't ask that we don't get. So I think if you are able to talk to the ones that are excited, the ones who have really been helped by the process, and ask them to make a video and send it to you. It doesn't have to be anything big. Just have them tell us something and send it. And whether it's 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and get those onto your site. Also, just a side note, if you are going to use video or pictures, please have them do a little release form so you've got it in your files. Side note, make giving interactive and fun.
And if anyone ever needs a sample model release, we can send you one. Just email us. Oh,
good. I didn't realize that. Awesome. I was just talking to a sitter about that earlier a few days ago. I said, do you guys have one that you use? And they said they did. So good to know. Make giving interactive and fun. Not everyone's motivated by a simple donate now button. Let's add some creativity. So one of the ideas was, and I think this is really fun, but create themes, like if you're $25 a month is a heartbeat hero and $50 a month is a lifesaver. And then, the reward members small, meaningful perks. I mean, that's, if I'm a donor and I get a sticker that, tells me that this is what I am, I love it. I think it's awesome. I'll wear it proudly or stick it somewhere or whatever, or a magnet on the fridge. It doesn't have to be big, but it just says, thank you. Thank you for doing this. You're appreciated. And I think people want to be recognized. when we do things, we just like a thank you, and so to have those little things like a mug, if they donate a certain amount, like you're in our Lifesavers Club, here you go, here's a mug. So make it fun for them. And then peer-to-peer fundraising, let donors create their own fundraising pages, rally their friends instead of birthday gifts, donate to a center, and I think that's something it's more prevalent now. But again, if you don't put it out there to your donors, they're not going to think about it. So they may have a birthday and say, donate to the Humane Society. Well, how about donate to us, So make sure they're aware of those things. Make sure they're thinking about it. Gamify it. Who doesn't love a game these days? Everybody loves games, right? So donation challenge. If we reach 50 donors in 24 hours, a generous donor will match 5,000. Well, you have to find the generous donor that's going to match, but isn't that fun? And then if they can see, again, if you tie it in with social media and you put the stories up and you keep like upping it and upping it up, and we're almost there. Come on, we just need this much more. It gives that excitement and people feel involvement. And that's where we want to go with these. And then giving beyond money, time, talents, and resources. Giving just isn't about finances. It's also about our time and our talents. And we have to remember that and really make that a part of it. Some people can't give financially, but everyone has something to give. Your website should highlight these creative ways to contribute. And Adopt a Mom lets a small group sponsor a mom in need, provide baby items of mentorship or encouragement, wish list and registry. Amazon and Target have the wish list. Serve Where You Shine quiz. This is fun. Put a quiz on there that helps visitors find the best way to volunteer. A lot of times they don't know what to volunteer for. So this is a great way to get them involved and let them know that there's different things out there. Keep them coming back more than a one-time visit. How do you make donors and volunteers return to your website again and again? More than one-time visit, behind-the-scenes emails. After someone donates, send them an insider updates with heartwarming stories that they won't get anywhere else. So give those personal touches. And then keep your website interactive. Give a reason to visit, keep it engaging and inform information on your website. Remind them to visit your website and use other sources to direct them back to your website. Make it more than just about giving.
Thank you, Sandy. That was so good. I enjoyed all that really good insight and ideas. Those were creative.
Yeah, I need some of these for our gala this Friday. So
yeah, Sandy, can you go back to the slide with the like the thermometer and the other options you had, like for the website?
That's what I wanted to ask about, because I've been wondering, how can I get that? I thought that would be so impactful at the banquet, like when they're doing the ask, having that on the screen where we can have it started at where we're at that point and what our goal is for the night, and they can see, and like, can you get it to where, like, I mean, I've seen people do that, like, whereas people are going on their phones and they're putting in their credit cards, they're watching that rise.
Yeah, is there like a widget for that, or?
I know that WordPress has a widget, but it requires the tally to be changed. I don't know about the connection between the donation tool and the thermometer. I haven't experienced that, but that would be cool.
Behind the scenes adding in that's still cool.
There could be someone behind the scenes adding in the amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is an option, but to do it actually at an event would require some coordination with a tool like that. Yeah, that'd be interesting to work through. There might be a tool out there that actually supports like a live update.
Yeah, I think I saw it on GiveButter or something like that. Like it's called GiveButter. It's a giving platform. We used it, and actually in the beginning before we went to Bloomerang, and they had tools like that, I think. So.
Yeah, I just Googled it. It said that there is a fundraising thermometer, It's on CauseVox, and it shows the fundraising progress as you work towards the goal. They're out there. We just got to find
But you probably have to do all of your donations through them to be able to use that tool. So we could find a way to create one. That would be really
There's always a caveat.
Yeah. We definitely have access to a WordPress thermometer plugin. And what's interesting is that we can use any vector. So it doesn't have to actually look like a thermometer. It could be the shape of a baby bottle. And then we can fill it up. Cool. And but it requires for someone to type in the amount, that's currently in the bottle. We haven't actually ever tried to connect it to a payment gateway account, but that would probably be possible. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I can think of ways to do that, but I don't know. I would wait until someone asked for it before I would really spend the time to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the other things that we just did that I think was cool for Answers for Life is they do like a pop-up here and you go to more information. And then here they have like all the different ways that they can, just ideas. So it comes up with a page like, if you're interested in donating, there's many creative options available. And then they have like a picture of that, and then it tells like how they can do those different things. So it gives ideas, doesn't just like, because there's so many things that you can do besides just, on your own giving. There's a bunch of different ones. So that's kind of fun. And then of course it would go to a contact page to find out more information, but just the fact of getting donors involved.
Yeah.
I liked too the survey thing that you mentioned or something that was on there. I think that's a big struggle we've had is we get a lot, like, I don't remember last year, I think we had like 20 inquiries of volunteers, but then only like a couple stick. And I think there's like a disconnect, like they like, I want to do something, I want to get involved, but then of course they leave and then and dies down. But also I think that trying to figure out what they can do, they don't want to be an advocate. They don't want to come in and have to talk to people. That's not for everyone. So I liked that. So I don't know if you had some ideas on that, but I'd be interested in getting.
Well, and I think too, is that some people like moms may go like, I could give my time, but I can't really get out to the center at certain times. But maybe they're a little bit techie savvy, or maybe they're good at creating. Maybe they're willing to create, the social media posts. Maybe they're willing to do some tech work on the website, keeping it up to date. There's just so many things that you can do from home too, where I think that people aren't aware of what they can volunteer. They'd be like, oh yeah, I'd love to give some time, but what do I do? And so if you have something like that, where you have like an interest form, and then they say their different interests, and then it kind of creates a survey of what they could do. And then you could reach out to them with ideas for them to do those different things, to participate,
That's really good. I think that's powerful, because traditionally people would just have the list of like 20 volunteer opportunities available, but they actually like ask, what are you good at? And then try and be creative about where that may fit. Feels like a very unique, interesting way of, connecting with volunteers to bring them into the place where they'll probably be more successful.
Mm-hmm.
It could even help somebody. Maybe they don't have confidence in themselves in certain areas, but if they took the little survey and it said, well, based on your answers, like you would be good at this, this, and this, and they're like, oh, maybe I could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good job, everybody, on the webinar. Any final thoughts before we turn off the recording?
No, I hope it was very helpful.
Yeah.
I think it was. Very good job.